first thing I think when I'm asked to be on camera is, will I be represented properly? Will I be taken out of context? That's huge to me. And every time I talk to someone in the film industry, I already am concerned. I'm already worried.
So they made it seem like I believed in the voodoo shark and that it existed.
Not only is that dishonest, you're messing with that guy's career.
But you have to understand, from our perspective, we need a scientist to say it's real. That's the story. They said, well, then it's not a documentary, that you're doing a work of fiction.
Then they called back and said, well, you know, it got picked up for another season. We'd really like to have you. And I said, I feel like I was mischaracterized on your show. I'm not happy about that.
They chose just to use the first part of the interview and not use the part where I'm talking about an explanation, which is grounded in reality, and just leave it open-ended like, okay, it could have been a monster.
If you don't care what I'm saying, if you don't care that I'm an expert on these things that I've written books about, then why am I here? Don't turn me into a liar.
So there I was watching the premiere broadcast, and I see myself saying the words that I had said, but with the framing removed, and left me just saying this old disproven idea that I actually don't accept.
None of these are based on any science or anything that scientists have said. These are all completely false.
That's the most extreme example that I know of. They outright manipulated those interviews and those edits, and it's dramatic.
This paper doesn't say that at all. COVID-19 did not exist when this paper was written.
And therefore, if the news or the newspapers get it wrong, the public is going to be misled very, very rapidly.
Boom, there you go. That was the trailer for Science Friction. And as you see on the screen, I have two very special guests, the filmmakers behind the documentary. I have Mr. Brian Dunning and Emery Emery. Gentlemen, thank you so much for giving me your time today.
Hey, thanks for having us, man.
No worries. So I'm a bit of a skeptic myself, and I know from doing my research on the two of you as well, you guys are very much in the same vein. I just want to say thank you for this documentary, to be honest. People are gullible, and that's what I think this really shines a light on is the importance of getting all the facts. You know, we don't know everything. And so, you know, you got to look into things. And that's really, I think, I would say is one of the driving points, at least that I picked off of this. If you can both, I guess to just start it off, tell us a little bit about yourselves and how this documentary came together. Let me go ahead and throw it to you, Brian. Tell me a little bit about yourself and why you wanted to put this documentary together.
Yeah, well, I'm the executive director of Skeptoid Media. We're an educational nonprofit. Our whole thing is helping people learn to tell what's real from what's not, truth from falsehood, science from pseudoscience. And I've been doing that as a podcast for a long time with the Skeptoid podcast. But this documentary film is really our big way of reaching out to the mass public who have really never before been given any reason to think that a lot of these TV shows are not necessarily good science shows. They're sensationalist nonsense like so much other entertainment out there.
Emery, I know you have some comedic roots. You've done a little bit of everything. I got to also give you props on Aristocrats. Huge fan of that particular documentary film. Tell me how you kind of came across this and wanted to bring this to the fold.
Well, I thank you very much. You know, by telling your viewers and listeners that you're a big fan of the Aristocrats, you certainly undercut your ability to tell them anything about science fiction. But these are two vastly different movies. Excuse me. The film, I was excited when Brian called me and told me about the idea because I had just recently actually been discussing with my mom some misinformation, and we were talking pretty in depth about opening your eyes to the realities as opposed to falling for the BS. She's over her lifetime, my mom has fallen for so many different psychics and just all kinds of stuff, and the propensity for magical thinking is so pervasive, especially with older folks. I think the older you get, the more susceptible you become, and the more of a mark you become to BS. And so I was really excited because I wanted to stop having arguments with my mom and just make something I could just go watch this and shut up.
You know what? I share the same sentiments with my parents, and they live in the deep South, and yeah. So I thank you, and thank you for now. Like, you gave this to your mom to show, I can now give this to her to see, and like, Mom, don't believe everything you see and hear. So to you both, so you decide to come together to form this super team and tell this story. How did that go about? Collecting the people that you wanted to have. Great batch of guests on, by the way, that you had.
Brian got them all. Brian knew who to get. He knew who to call. And the numbers of people who said I won't or can't is pretty dramatic. Brian, go ahead, talk about that.
Yeah, for the great people that we've got in the film, we had a lot more people who decided not to be in the film. When we're offering them the chance to come on and talk about how they were deceptively edited out of context and misquoted, and they said, well, still, I'd rather be able to still have that job and go back and do that again than not. So even though they didn't want to burn a bridge that is kind of a bridge that really should be burned, but you also got to understand that these are professional working scientists. They're never going to get any notoriety in their life. They're never going to have another chance to be on TV. And so when they have these opportunities, they jump at it. It's kind of a highlight of their career, even though, you can look at it and say, well, that really wasn't much of a highlight. They deceptively edited you. So I respected their reasons. The low light of their career. So we respected the decisions of a lot more people that are in the film to not be in it, which is unfortunate, but that's how it came down.
I had two different producers on the hook, kind of, that were interested in coming and talking to us about their experiences from the other perspective, right? The scientist is really who we got 99.999%. The two producers I had, one of them stopped returning my call altogether. And the other one, man, I met him at the height of the pandemic. We met at an outdoor restaurant in Los Feliz, and he grilled me. I'm not to this day sure what he was looking for. I told him we would hide his face and disguise his voice like he was a mob boss, and nobody would know who was telling the true story. And he still just said, "No, I'm out." People don't want to. I mean, at the end of the day, that guy had just had a baby, and he didn't want to. He didn't want to chance losing the ability to pay for diapers.
Wow, that's so sad. And I didn't even think about this again. I watched it earlier, but yeah, comparing like to get that other portrayal from the producing standpoint, because it's all there as illustrated in the series. It's all about sensationalism. They're just trying to grab people, who wants to really watch the facts, which is sad as well. But yeah, I love that you both attempted to get that producing side to have them speak on it, and you gave them all the reasons or the ability to do it, but they still kind of flaked out. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah. We were super conscientious about. We didn't want to do the same kind of behavior that we're criticizing in the film. Yeah. We wanted to be open and honest and fair and tell the facts. So we did not want to look like we're trying to be sensational ourselves in exaggerating this huge problem out there when there might have been, good reasons for people to want to do these kind of practices. So we did try. We made the film as good as we could.
Oh, and it's great.
There are some.
I'm sorry.
There are some really good producers out there pushing back against, the machine. I just got a call from someone. I think he's going to be okay with me naming him. I'm going to name him. Eric 13 is his name, and he's a director and a producer. And he called me looking for someone who would talk about, I think it was mediums. But that would talk about mediums for the thing he was shooting for a production company from a true, an honest skeptic perspective. And we tried to get Todd Robbins, and I didn't hear back from Todd, and he finally found a guy. But the production wanted him to go just talk to mediums. And instead, he pressed back and said, why don't I get a skeptic who will talk about mediums from this other perspective? And they said, all right, let's try that. So there are people out there trying to toe an appropriate line.
Mm. Yeah. Again, kudos to you both. And, as a creative, and then also I dabble with documentary, like not as to the extent as you gentlemen do, but it's just when you're trying to create a product like this, you feel you have to toe both lines sometimes to sell it, from the production standpoint, but then also to stay to your morals. And I gotta just give you props for staying the course and trying to do both. And that's what makes this so great. How has the reception been? I think I saw that this was shown at CSICon, or is this I know it's now available. Everybody check this out. Let me put that promo in there. Science Fiction is now available on Prime Video as well as Tubi. How has the reception been? Was it at CSICon, or was that just a trailer?
That was we had a short bit of footage. Just I don't know. It was about 30 minutes of footage that wasn't a final cut. We were just showing kind of some highlights that we had edited already to the people at the conference. And so far, I've only been getting positive feedback, which leads me to wonder, are people blowing smoke at me, or what's going on here? But so far, all I can say, honestly, is that it's been really positive. We've had good success on the film festival circuit, early returns, and we're pretty stoked.
That's wonderful. It deserves it. What have you been hearing, Emery?
He's been hearing that
Emery
he's
will
muted.
be there in a second. He's a little muted.
My apologies.
No worries.
We have no question. We've been showing this to like-minded skeptics, and I mean, of course, they're gonna love it. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like screening a porn for incels. They're just gonna go nuts. But what we need to do is we need to get the general public interested in watching this. And get I'd love to get some feedback from them. And I've had a few emails since it's gone up on Prime Video and since it was on Tubi. I've had a few emails from people I don't even know saying that they really appreciated what we did. But that's a longer, slower process to get that kind of feedback back.
Well, we'll hopefully with my having you now on my channel, my people can give you some feedback. I think it's absolutely amazing. Now that this is out there, and now we want to get this feedback, what conversations, obviously this started the conversation. So again, to make people aware, stop being so gullible, and fact check everything that you're saying. For you both, and now you're making this circuit of talking to people like me about it. Intentions. What would you like to see? What beyond just getting the commentary back?
I want to jump in on what you just said and say that it's especially in this day and age, it's really hard to go out and research your own facts, as has been proven by the QAnon nonsense. And the vaccine silliness and the whole anti-pandemic movement, that people don't know how to ascertain what is accurate and what isn't accurate. And that's something that we need to fix in this world. We need to fix this in the world. People need to know whether, when they go to research something, whether they're getting honest answers or BS, and that's a big difference in the world. The three of us all consider ourselves to be skeptics, and so does everybody who subscribes to and believes in the QAnon nonsense.
That's so true.
They think they're
Yeah.
the skeptics,
Yeah.
and they're not the skeptics. What they are is they have been duped by powerful liars, and it's horrific to know that that's going on. But that's, I don't think it's a matter of gullibility as much as it is a matter of education. And by that I don't mean a college education or any of that. I mean starting at the foundation of the problem. If you really want to get to the truth, if that's really your great goal, you don't just dive in and start watching a bunch of things and assuming that they're accurate. You have to start at the foundation and go, how do I determine what is true and what is not true? And that's what the skeptic movement that I've been involved with for the past 30 years, that's what the skeptic movement is all about. So get into genuine skeptics movements as opposed to conspiratorial bug nuttery, and you'll learn how to think properly, how to parse properly, and how to understand properly.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Brian,
What I'd
you wanna
like to
add
see
to that?
more of it. Yeah, well, many of the TV shows that we criticize in here, they take the easy road to entertainment, which is to just, you're not constrained to the facts. You just make up a wild story. The ancient Maya were aliens. There's a monster in the river, whatever it is. And it's really easy to make a TV show amazing and sensational when you can just say whatever you not. I don't believe you have to do that. Maybe you have to work harder, but there are interesting things in the world that are sensational and amazing for real. And maybe it's more work, but I would like to see people put in that work and to make good TV shows that actually educate and inform and entertain and make the world a better place instead of a stupider place. So that's a huge motivation for this film.
Yes, I agree. I'm trying to think, what people I know are going to ask me. So then what are the solutions? That's what you always get. Especially, I have a lot of friends. I'll say my parents live in Charleston, South Carolina, the deep South, at least to me. And it's just, I live in the Washington, D.C. area. There's always a buzz here in the DC area. Down there, it's quieter, it's slower. And so they're like, okay, they listen to first things that they see, which is, the audience for this sensationalism, right? And so then, okay, we'll listen to you, but then they'll defer to somebody who they think, is online, and so we try to give them these solutions. And like to your point, Emery, you said, just exactly what you said, really dig into it, look at the skeptics. Brian, would you have the same passion? What do you generally say to when people are coming at you with this type of stuff?
I say, well, going back to what Emery said about how you can't just tell someone to go do some research or go double check and fact check it for yourself, because nobody knows how. And that's why it's so important that there be better media out there as an alternative. So, I mean, I want to say not so much to the people who are the viewing audience, because they have limited selection on what they can do. They can't control what programming is out there. I want to say to the producers to do a better job and put some better material out there.
Yeah. I definitely agree. And we have Google now. I think there's so many resources. We have YouTube, although a lot of people can go up there and change it. Wikipedia, people can go and change it, but just kind of look at everything and then come to the conclusion, I would say.
Well, let's be clear about Wikipedia. I think Wikipedia is doing a stellar job. Of they actually over police to a degree, which I think is actually good. It's a good thing. They over police the information that appears on their platform, and so Wikipedia has been decried as an unreliable source in the same way that Snopes.com has been maligned as a malevolent source because they're left-wingers and right. All of this is Russian propaganda that has been forced down our throats over the last 20 years, and possibly other rogue states doing these sorts of things to free relatively free nations, and we've bought into it. We have got to stop that. but that's Wikipedia, Snopes.com. If you really want to know the true answer to a question, all you really need to do is figure out what's a trusted source. And those are trusted sources for reasonably reliable information. Very rarely are you going to go on Wikipedia and find disinformation. Rarely. Same with Snopes. You're going to find the absolute accurate answer to a question if you want to know whether something is true or not.
I would, yeah, I definitely, because people can go back and forth and fix those mistakes that are in Wiki when people try to go and change it up. And you're 100% right. It's a living document, you know, which is great. But gentlemen, this is I have so many questions because I think I'm cut from kind of the same cloth, and I can't thank you enough for kind of giving this material for people to challenge what they, you know, what they may think is the right thing. Really appreciate.
And we're not monsters. I want to add, we aren't monsters. We wish there were mermaids just like you, but we have a larger drive to know whether it's true or not. So I wish there were mermaids. I wish there was Nessie. All that stuff would be fantastic. Bigfoot, I don't know, not so much. I heard he smelled that. But all of these things, we're sorry we're telling you they're not true, but we're just telling you the truth.
Definitely.
Well said.
So again, everybody, Science Friction is available right now on Prime Video as well as Tubi. I gotta give you props on the logo. I love the logo, especially when it in the opener with it all being animated. As a filmmaker, again, that just kudos on that. And I have to know, again, I really enjoy this documentary. What work can we see possibly again on maybe another collab, or I also highlight and promote other projects you all may have? Let me go back to you, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a mailing list. You can sign up on sciencefriction.tv, and that keeps people updated about where the movie is available, what streaming service it comes out. It's also going to keep everyone posted about our next film project, which, yes, absolutely, we have one hot on the heels. It's already in pre-production.
Awesome.
So sciencefriction.tv is the place to go for more information.
Excellent. And for you, Emery, any other things you want to add to that and projects we can follow and reach out to you on?
Just coming out of a pandemic, we have just what Brian is doing. Other than that, I have nothing. In fact, I'm not even sure why I'm still alive.
Because we still need you to help change minds and speak to the people, Emery. And I thank you. Well, Emery, Brian Dunning, Emery, Brian Dunning, Science Friction, y'all. Again, available on Prime Video as well as Tubi. Thank you both so much for your time. Would love to have you back as those other projects come along so I can show love and light and speak on them. Yeah, y'all, there you go. I'm Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World, NRW. Make sure you follow us at the NRW Not Release Wednesday. Until next time, Nerds Rule the World. Check out Science Friction, y'all.
Thank you.
There you go.
Hey everyone, this is Brian Dunning. I'm the executive producer of Science Friction, the new documentary film about scientists who get deceptively edited and misquoted on television. We are going to be on Nerds Rule the World to talk about making of the film, and here's the director, Emery Emery.
I'm Emery Emery, and I am also here to tell you to go check out our film, Nerds Rule the World for a reason. I'm a nerd, Brian's a nerd, we really don't rule the world yet, but we need to rule the world because we wouldn't be making movies and TV shows that were filled with baloney, because that's what we've done. We've created Science Friction. We tell you the truth about the lies.